return again. This captivity ain't permanent, no. I'm from Jerusalem, hey, we'll return again. This captivity ain't permanent, no. Sitting on the album that'll change my life. Should I?
Salama! Welcome back to Stepping Stones to Home. I'm Isha G, and today we have the lovely Fatma here, and we're going to be talking about unity among the diaspora and the locals here. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Habari zenu. My name is Fatma. I'm from Tanzania, and I've met Isha G when she came here to Tanzania, and it has been an honor and a very good experience meeting them. So, and now I'm teaching them Swahili, so there is so much that we are learning together, and I'm just privileged to be here today with them.
Thank you for having me. Like, it's an honor. So yes, as she said, she's been helping us learn Swahili, and she's helped us with so many things here. We have ran into some what we would consider big issues here, and Fatma, she has been like a lifesaver. So you know what I'm talking about, so we really appreciate it. So what tribe are you from?
I'm Nyamwezi, the people of the moon, or the people of the west, which we are the second largest ethnic Bantu group here in Tanzania, and our chief name was Mirambo. So it's been like I can say that I'm part of the group that they fought, our ancestors fought for the independence of this country.
Okay, yes. That's cool. So how many tribes are actually here in Tanzania?
So many. I can go maybe 250, 100. I'm not sure.
I think I heard 120? I think I heard 120 tribes, maybe a little more, here in just Tanzania alone, y'all. So the Maasai, as y'all know, they're not the only tribe here. There are many, many more. So what was it like growing up here in Tanzania?
Seeing that I've been traveling to other countries, like I've lived in Kenya, studying there. So for me, I can say that it's different from every country in Africa. Like if you live in Tanzania and you go live to another country, there is some difference in culture, in how the people behave and treat you. And it has been eye-opening for that. In Tanzania, people are like so humble in a way, different from other countries. Like they talk, like if you talk to them, you have to use like maybe some forceful words. And in Tanzania, they usually like if they want something from you, even if they want to buy, they will start with please, can I have, and they have to buy that.
Okay.
While in other countries, they just say like I want something, and they pay. So it's quite different in Tanzania and other countries.
Okay. So they're, as far as speech goes, they're very polite in their speech here in Tanzania.
Yes.
Okay, so what are some of your likes and dislikes about Tanzania?
In likes, what can I say? So they change. Sometimes the dislike can become a like after understanding what happened, like maybe with the please and thank you, or when you want to buy something. So like sometimes when you go buy something and then you forget to say the please, the shopkeeper might not even give you that. You have to greet first. So it's a process when you want to take something from someone, whether you are buying or you are getting it for free. So, but after understanding why you have to greet someone, why you have to be humble, then the dislike became a like.
Okay, so I didn't know that. So in Tanzania, they like for you to greet them first before they sell you something. So it's just a part of the culture here.
Yeah, because you don't know what that person is going through, and maybe that greeting that you have given to that person, maybe it will be like the first greeting he or she has had, and maybe they will feel much closer to you, and they might even renew the price of the thing.
Ah,
yes.
Gotcha. So I have heard or something before. So if you're walking past someone or people, do you have to actually greet every single person that you walk past?
No, unless you know like one of them, so you might greet like, hi, how are you? And you say the name, and you have to greet the others because you have already acknowledged the person that you know, and then you acknowledge the rest. But if you don't know any of them, then you just acknowledge them as in a one way, like in just one greeting. And you just don't have to say like, how are you, how are you? No, just once and it's okay.
Okay, well that's good to know because I don't greet everybody.
Yeah.
So what are some of the normal things here in the culture? If someone is coming here to Tanzania, what are some of the normal cultural things that they're going to experience here?
Okay. So first it's the greeting, because you have to greet people if you are walking and people are sitting or standing, then you are the first one who's supposed to greet. So you have to greet the people, and if you will be standing there with them, maybe make a little bit of a chit chat while you are waiting, maybe if it's for transport. Yeah, so the greeting and the food, it's different from each part of the country. You will go to the coast region, their food is quite different. You go to if you go to, let's say, Kilimanjaro, it's different. When you go to Tanga, it's different. Here in Dar es Salaam, it's quite different. So the food, it's another thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
And also the dressing. So you might find like the Muslims, we wear this, but we also wear other dresses. It's not just this, and the men wear the robes, and the non-Muslims, they wear the normal clothes. And you might find that the Maasais, they have their own kind of clothes. Yeah, so with the clothes, you will be able to understand that this is one part of the group in Tanzania. Yeah, that is different from there.
Yeah. What have been some things that you like about Tanzania and some things that you don't really like about here?
So there are many likes.
Okay.
Maybe I will be favoring my country, but there are so many likes. For instance, when with kids, you can just tell them to go and play with the neighbor, and that's okay. Yeah, so like if you want to do other stuffs, the neighbor's kids, because of that, for Tanzania, how we live, it's like a community. So whether you're just neighbors, you're not related, there's some kind of a relationship that is being built between the neighbors. And maybe even if you're studying in the same school or working at the same place, just that relationship, it builds something that when you come to a place that you find each other again, then you become like you are friends. So we build those kind of relationship quite easily and quite comfortably. So the kids can play with the other children, and that's okay. So they don't have, if they want to come and watch TV at your house, we go. I remember when I was a kid, we used to have like every house they have a TV, not all of them, but we sometimes just decide to go and watch TV to just someone else's house, and then the parent there, they might cook their lunch, and then we are there, so they won't tell us go home, because they already know that they know your parent. Unless they don't know your parent, then they will be like, are you allowed to eat at someone else's house? So the moment they know that you are allowed, they just put the food together and we just eat, even though we are not part of their family. So when they come to our place, the same, we eat together and we play together. Yeah. And another
I know for us growing up, it was like that. I guess for my generation, we were the last ones. But in the States, it's not very communal anymore. So that's really good, knowing that the children can actually go. And I've even heard about people, if you're on a bus or whatever, and the bus is crowded, if a woman has a baby, they'll just pass the baby to a complete stranger, like, hey, hold my baby, because ain't no space. And so they're just that comfortable with each other here. They know that their child is not in danger, and that's really awesome, because in the States you don't know who you can trust. Like if it's a close friend or a relative, then yes, but if we don't know a person, we're not gonna just hand our baby off, or we don't do that, because you might not see your baby no more.
So yeah, that, and also we respect people based on their age. So even if it's a young kid, there is a kind of respect that they're given just because of their age, and whether they are young or old. Because of that, when you want to hear their opinion, you will ask them, and then you will decide, is it okay? Because you might be going through something, and maybe the young one is the one who has a solution to it. So sometimes we usually talk to the kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you are going through something and you stay with the kids, they will give you so much, because they talk with each other, like what's happening in their house when they are together. So when you ask them for advice, even if not directly, they will just be able to give you something, and then you understand, and maybe it can help you solve something. And with the elders, when like the way you have said on the bus, yeah. So we usually leave the seats for the elders when if you are sitting, and maybe because the transport sometimes can be so bad, maybe the seats, because we usually jam the bus, we are so many of us, and then you are like, you have gotten a seat and you say, thank God, because the trip is long, and then an elder person comes in, you just have to stand and leave that seat for the elder person, because that's how we have been the way we have been raised, to respect the elders and to be understanding of the people. Like if it's a pregnant person, an elder person, a kid, sometimes maybe they're from the school, so they're tired. If you can squish and then you sit together in the seats, that's okay, we do that.
That's cool. That's real cool. Are there any things here that you dislike?
Yeah, the transport.
The transportation, y'all, is
transportation is it's good, because the road they have tried to make enough roads that they be able to transport you from one place to another, but the distance is so long, so sometimes you have to wait. First you have to wait for the bus to fill before you go. So
so the bus won't leave the bus stop until it's filled up?
Yeah, all the seats.
So how long can that take?
Even an hour. So if you have a trip, you have to count from your home to the bus stop, and then when you get there, if you want to take another bus, you have to count another hour maybe, or 45 minutes for the bus to fill, and then for another hour maybe for the transport, because at every bus stop they have to stop, pick some passengers, and then they move along. So the transport sometimes can be, especially in the morning and in the evening, the bus fills up quite fast. But during the midday, everyone is at work, so the people at the bus stop are few, so you have to wait.
So if you're in a car, the best time to travel is midday, but if you're taking the bus, well, never really is a good time, because either you're going to have to wait or the bus is so crowded. So just to give them a perspective, how long did it take you to get here to us today?
So I got here at 3 and I left home at 11. And I had to take 2 different kind of bus. So from my home it took me almost an hour to get to the bus stop so that I can get to another bus. And then when I was inside the bus, I had to wait for the bus to fill. And then we have to pick other passengers along the way. So I got here at 3.
That's a long way. So I don't take the bus because of those reasons.
But sometimes you'll be surprised. The bus fills up so fast, and if you had alighted saying, because usually the bus takes long to fill up, let me go to the toilet and then I'll be back, and then maybe you left your handbag there, so you come back, the bus is not there. So what they do, like maybe you will ask the people like, has this bus from, maybe you're going to Ununio, so you ask, has it left? And then they say yes, because they usually know which bus goes. Like they will say, oh, it is from someone, so they will call maybe the driver, and then they will say like, there is one of your passenger left their handbag there, and then they will look for it, and if it's there, they will just tell that person maybe, okay, she should wait, we will come back, or she can come for it. That's in the public transport. But sometimes you're not very lucky, because you might get there and then they don't know which bus has left, and they don't even have the phone number of that person, so your handbag might get lost. But if you're lucky, you might get it.
Okay, so are there any other dislikes? Or is it just pretty much transportation, or is there anything else? Yeah, so I mean, I know we've done some videos before, but for me, for some dislikes, whether you're gonna be on the bus or pretty much any transportation, unless you're gonna do Bolt, which is pretty much the same as Uber, you're going to have to wait unless you have a really reliable driver. But yeah, it can be quite a long wait for transportation here. For me, something else I don't like, which is there's not much to do here. So I like to alleviate stress, some tension and everything by going somewhere, just relaxing. But I mean, there's the beach here, but it's not much else here to do except for the beach. So I don't like how long it takes to get food here. So yeah, because food takes like an hour to an hour and 45 minutes. You can wait to get your food if you go to a restaurant. Now the food is good, but it just takes a really long time to get your food here. So, you know, if you're going to a restaurant, make sure you're going with people that you want to talk to, because you're going to be there for a while.
Yeah, and they're waiting for the food. It's mostly they usually cook on the go. So like if you have ordered, it's when they will cook your food for you, and then they will prepare it for you, and then you get it. And that's why it may take some time, because they might cook so much, and then maybe a few clients come by, the customers come by, and then the food will go to waste, because if maybe they will eat, the employees, they might eat, and then some will still get them. Then they have counted like they expect to get certain amount by the end of the day, but it is not possible. So the way to prevent that is by cooking when people have ordered. So once you order, but unless like if you go there frequently, they know you, so you might take their phone number and then you just let them know. So like if you usually take lunch at 2, so you can call them like 30 minutes early, and then they prepare it for you. So when you get there, you find your food ready.
Well, that's good to know, because we have a restaurant we use often, and even when we call in our order, they don't even start making our order until we appear in front of them. Then they start making our order. So, you know, it's real out here, y'all. It's real. So let me ask you something. What's some of your thoughts about the diaspora? I mean, you know us, but have you met any other diaspora African Americans, European Africans? Have you met any others here?
Yeah, I have. I can say when I first met you, you weren't so welcoming with your facial expression. Like when you came by my work of place, is it place of work, work of place,
Place of work.
Place of work. So when you came by my place of work and I met you, I was trying because you are your visitors at that moment, and I was acting like the host. So I had a smile on my face, and then I was like, it was a welcoming smile, but you guys were like. So I was like, okay, fine. So I came to you and asked what you wanted, and you let me know, and then. But as time went, you kind of warmed up to me. So I think most of the diaspora, whenever they meet the locals, that's the first expression that they usually bring to the locals. And so meet someone, you're supposed to have like that warm, welcoming vibe with you, and then you'll be able to communicate freely. But because of that, I don't know how people that they understand when they come to our place. So maybe we don't vibe at that first meet, but maybe later on. So that has been quite a problem.
So for us, even in the States, if we don't know you, we're just not chit-chatty and just like, hey, when we first meet, because we don't know what to expect. It's kind of like, are you nice? Are you gonna try and take advantage of me? Are you looking at me sideways? Are you being fake with me? Like, I don't know where to place you because I don't know you. So we have to, well, I can't speak for every diaspora. I can speak for myself, and I know my husband. We have to warm up to you to see, okay, this person is cool. And then you're gonna see another side of us. But especially coming to a country, we've never been to a different country except for Tanzania. So outside of the US, we came straight to Tanzania, first country outside of the West. And so coming here, we don't know what to expect. It's a completely different continent, culture, people are different, and so you're like, I don't know what to expect from these people. Like, so yeah, that's what it is. But as you can see, like most of us, it's like this. Once you get to know us, those straight faces are gonna turn into smiles and jokes, and we like to have fun. But yeah, at first, yeah, that's just us. We have to get to know you first because we don't know what to expect.
So for any other diaspora that are coming to Tanzania, they should know that we are warm people, welcoming people. So like when you meet us, just smile when you're talking to us. Yeah, come with a welcoming vibe, and you'll be surprised how, because when you do that, you might even feel like you are related, because even if you are not speaking Swahili, they will understand some words. They will be. But if you are like, you come with no welcoming vibe, you might speak English and they understand, but they will pretend not to understand you. Because they will feel like you are being rude. Like you have just met me and you are just giving me this face, so they will feel like you are being rude to them.
Yes, and that's something we have learned, because even some of the situations that we were told were going to be very difficult, we were advised by, like what Fatma just said, if you come and you basically change the environment. So you come and you have the smile, you have you're courteous, and even if somebody else is looking at you sideways or with a frown, you can change the entire environment. Compliments go a long way here, because I'm gonna say for me, one thing that I've seen is that, and it's like this in the States, when you go to the government offices, it seems like nobody likes their government job. I don't know why. Even in America, when you go to government offices, people are rude. They have the nastiest facial expressions and they speak to you rudely. And it seems to be just something amongst people. I can't even say black people, because even other nations that work in those offices are the same way. But what I realize here is when you go in and somebody is like that, if you speak and you're polite, and even if you give compliments and things like that, it seems to instantly change the vibe inside the room, and then they become very helpful and everything. You get pushed to the front of the line. So just to let y'all know, y'all been having some issues, look, compliments go a long way. So, and you never know, like what she said, you don't know how a person's day is going. So when you're like that, you can just completely change your entire day, and you're making it better for whoever is coming up behind you. So those are some of the things that we have experienced here in Tanzania. Is there any other things that you thought about the diaspora? Were there anything that you were told about African Americans before you met them?
Not much, but they used to tell us that they look like us, but when we meet you, we say, yeah, you do look like us. And when you talk, so sometimes like your accent, so I usually think that maybe it's just the actors. This is how they talk. So when I met you, I was like, hey, they talk exactly like the actors. Yeah, that was for me the first, because I know that like the British, they have their own accent. So because I met like the white ones, the white diasporas, that they have their own, but I didn't know that the black ones, they also have that kind of accent, like the same accent we hear, like Tiffany Haddish, the way she speaks. So I thought maybe that's how it's just because she's an actor and she's a black actor that she speaks like that. But when I met you, I was like, okay, because I've not met so like the black Americans, I've not met so many of them.
Gotcha.
So it was a surprise for me to hear you speak that.
So yeah. Okay, that's funny. But yeah, we're pretty much the same. You'll hear a different accent in some of us too. Like people that are from what we call the South, they have like this country accent, and then you have the people from up north, they have an accent like North America, up north in America, and then the ones on the West Coast have a certain accent, but yeah, we all, it's generally the same, just with, you know, a few different words here and there. But I just want to get your thoughts on something else, because we were told that a lot of the Tanzanians, they didn't know a lot about slave trade, like what really happened in the slave trade, because we've talked to some Tanzanians who have told us, I actually had a Tanzanian brother tell me one time, how did y'all get to America? Yeah, and I was so thrown off, and I was like, wait, what? How do you not know how we got to America or what happened? And for the most part, when we talk to other Tanzanians, a few Tanzanians, they don't have a lot of information about the slave trade and what happened to our people over there. So what were you guys taught in school about slavery?
So how it came to be, from what I can remember from school, was that maybe the different tribes, they usually have their own fights. So maybe they escape, and then they move to the parts that the Americans or the British or the Portuguese are there, and maybe they were transporting, because they come to Africa, they go to India, they transport spices, the elephant trunks. So when they get there, and some of them, they boarded the ships knowingly that they're going to have a better life somewhere else. And some, they were just taken because of their strong built body, so they were taken because they were seeing that the Africans are strong, then we'll be able to get like kind of free labor where we will take them back home. So that's how the slavery came to be. Before while others, they were sold. So depending on what the circumstance of that person was taken to another country, so it depends. Others, they went there freely because they were hoping for a better life, and then they were getting there, and then they turned to slaves. And then some, they were just running away from fights, the tribal fights, and then they just found themselves in the ships that they were taking them to other parts of the world, and different from where they have come from, maybe the kind of labor that they were doing. Yeah. So I'm not sure if it's the same stories that you guys know.
No, we weren't told that aspect of it, but I know you were saying something to me that most of the ones that were taken, they were younger.
Yes.
So that's something that we heard as well, that a lot of the slaves that were actually kidnapped, they weren't the adults. You were saying that they were
young. Yes. So there are those who are taken by force, and most of them, they were young. So I remember like when I was in school and we were being taught like the history part, and then they were told that most of the young kids, the black kids, they were were given, some of them they were enticed with sweets, and then so they're being given things that they don't have at their home. So when they go to get more, they're being kidnapped from their family.
Wow.
Yeah, and because their families, sometimes they won't even know what happened to them, and they just figure out that maybe they died, or they just got lost and went to another part of the village or the other part of the country. Yeah, so some of them, I remember being told that they were being enticed with small things.
Wow. So let me ask you this: when the people actually went to America, were kidnapped and taken to America, what were you guys told about their lives over there? Did they tell you anything about how they were faring in the places where they went? For the ones who went willingly, or the ones who you guys know were sold, did they tell you how their lives were over there?
So that's mostly based on what we were taught. So because it was like documented maybe. So most of it wasn't like a good thing. Yeah, it wasn't, they didn't find the lives that they were hoping for. Because we remember being told that some of them, the ship that they were in, the life was so bad that some, they jumped overboard because they were like, we have to eat, maybe the sleeping area wasn't good, because remember the ships were transporting things, items from Africa and other parts. So inside there might be even live animals, and they will be living with them because they won't be in the upper status of the people who owns the ships. So they will sometimes jump overboard and they won't even get to where they were going, and they might die. Others, they came back home. So it wasn't a good experience for them. Most of them who were able to escape that, it wasn't a good experience.
Yes. So for us, you say that some of them were able to come back home. So we were never given that quite that version, I'd say. Now the jumping overboard, yes, but just what we were taught, and I'm not gonna even say just from textbooks. This is from my great grandparents who lived a long time, and they were able to tell us the history of things that they knew. Yes, a lot of slaves were jumping overboard, and from what we know, historical facts is that some of the young children, or a lot of the young children that were taken, they were taken by force. Like mothers would have their children, children were snatched from their mothers and taken onto the boats to be slaves and everything like that. And then once they got to America, first of all, like you were saying, the conditions of the ships were not good. The way that they had them stacked in the ship, it was not good. A lot of them died before they reached the Americas or wherever else they took them to. Also, when they got there, I would say to the Americas, it was free, forced, hard labor to build the country, and if they did not, they were whipped, they were hung, they were burnt alive. Some women were hung alive, their babies were cut out of their stomachs. Some of the babies, they had a time where alligator skin shoes and belts were very popular. So to catch the alligators, they would take the little babies and they would go fishing with a human African baby alive. And when the alligator would get the baby, they would get the alligator so that they could make clothing for the alligator. So there's still paraphernalia in America. You could go to some shops and they have these little, I guess, tokens or little things that a lot of racist people like to remember about their good old days, and it shows the baby in the mouth of an alligator, and they keep them as souvenirs, and they sell them as souvenirs still to this day in the US. So slavery was terrible in the US. A man, he would get married, and the slave master, a husband and wife, you're supposed to consummate your marriage. The slave master would sleep with the woman, first before her husband could. And there are even records of them ripping like the strongest man on the plantation in half by tying him to 2 horses, just to show if the strongest man can be done like this, imagine what can happen to the rest of you, to get the people not to rise up and fight against them. So it's a lot happened, you know, to our people, and a lot more in the Americas. So, but we were never told that anybody ever were able to come back, you know, that part of it. But
it could be probably before they reached America, or they were in America, but en route to going to wherever they were going, the condition wasn't so good, so some of them jumped. So maybe they didn't even reach to where they were going, or maybe they reached to where they were going, but they came back with the stories that it's not good.
Just to kind of go back on our original topic of the diaspora and the locals here, we have heard some crazy stories about interactions between the locals and the diaspora, where there's been a lot of butting of the heads, like not able to get along. Like we've heard, like we were saying, stories about immigration, where when you come here, you get your visa. Your visa is for a year, but you're only supposed to be here 3 months at a time. We've heard stories of when the diaspora leave after 90 days and they go somewhere else and they try and come back into the country. The immigration, they don't want to stamp their visas. We've heard that some of the locals have said that they don't want us here. We've heard stories, I know things that we have experienced. We have experienced theft here, but pretty much I think that's and the prices here, that we are given different prices from everyone else. The moment that we open our mouths and they hear that we are American, prices are like triple. So those are some things that we have heard, and some of the things we have experienced personally here in Tanzania. But apparently it's not just here, it's all over Africa. So what are your thoughts on those things?
Maybe we can touch on the prices and the butting of the heads. So the prices, it depends which part of the area you are going to buy something, and what kind of person you have met. Is that person like the kind of the person who raises their prices based on the customer, or are those just the prices for that day? Because sometimes you might get to, let's say maybe a market, you're going to the market, and last week when you came, the items were maybe at a cheaper price, and then the next week you get there and then you find that the prices are raising due to many factors, maybe the transportation of the items to the marketplace, how they have given the wages for the people who help them loading and offloading of the items, and so sometimes the prices usually fluctuate. But sometimes you may just find a person who they will see you are Mzungu, we call them Mzungu, so they will say, okay fine, they have money, so we will raise the prices. But sometimes you might find someone, whether you are Mzungu or Mswahili, they will give you the same prices that they are selling to any other person. So that depends. It's usually like a lot of reasons brings to that. So, and with the...
But I just want to comment on that really quickly. So as far as the prices goes, it depends on the person that you go to. You could meet someone who is fair and they give you the correct price. But then there are some people who, if they hear your accent, your American accent, they think that you have money. And so they're going to try and get more money out of you. Is it true that they all think that we're rich because we come from America?
Maybe, maybe not. Because if, okay, let's say, any foreigner that comes, they want something, maybe they're buying for that price and maybe they're going to trade it for more price. So they will take that, maybe he or she is going to sell this. So maybe I should give them this kind of price because they have bought these items from me. Then maybe you don't know, maybe they will think that you don't know the prices of those things, so they will up the prices. But sometimes they will just feel like because you are not from here, then the price will go up just by seeing it. Because that doesn't happen just for the foreigners. Even for the locals, you might go and they will give you a different price from the person who they usually meet every day who comes to buy for them, because there is that, like, the friendliness, or like they know each other. So like if you go buy their things every day and they see you, they know that this is our regular customer, they will give you like a fair price. But if you're just a person who comes for that one day, they usually have their own prices, because the person who sells might not be the owner of that item. So the person who sells may try to up the price so that they can also get something out of that, the money that they get. So if something costs 100, they might say 150, and then maybe that 50, maybe someone brought you there, so they will have to pay that person who brought you to that place, and then they will maybe try to pay themselves for just that day, and then the rest they put into the till.
Gotcha. Okay, so it just depends. So it pays to find someone and go to the same person all the time, because then you're not going to really run into that problem, because the more they get to know you, the more fair the price is going to be. So for all of you guys here in Tanzania who have been having problems with shopping and different things like that, go to the same person. Build a relationship with the same person. Have you a tomato lady, have you a cucumber lady, go to the same people, and then you're going to get the fair prices. That's something we have learned in our community here. We make sure that we go to the same people. We normally don't shop our fruits and vegetables at the supermarket. We go to the local stands and we go to the same people, so they know our faces, we talk to them, and just for everything. We have a peanut lady. We have our people that we go to. If we want to go to a butcher or something like that, we have people that we go to, so we don't run into a lot of those problems that we ran into when we first got here. And so that's just a little tip for you guys who have been having problems in that area.
You can also do like a little bit of research. So like maybe you check up the prices with someone. Maybe now you know someone from here, so you can ask them how much this costs, so that when you get there you can be able to bargain, because there is still room for bargaining. Even as locals, we might go and buy something and we don't know the price, but you are trying to say like, I have come here to buy this and this, and I want to spend this kind of money for those items. So you try to bargain. You bargain and bargain until they agree that, okay, fine, so this is our normal price, and it may be higher than what you were expecting, but because you have bargained, okay, fine, I'll accept it. Because they have not sold anything for that day, and you have already come there, you have to buy. Right. So they won't try to push you away unless that is the price and they can't go any lower than that.
Okay. So, like I said, there have been some other issues between diaspora and the locals here. A few that I named, one we just talked about with pricing. And I think just some cultural differences. We're just not accustomed to certain things, even though we're all African. We were raised one place and you guys are raised here. And that doesn't just go for us coming from America or Europe. I know that it's the same throughout Africa. If you're Tanzanian and you go to Kenya, we've noticed there's differences that Kenyans have said that they're treated a certain way when they go certain places because they're from Kenya. Nigerians, we've heard, have said when they go into Kenya, they're treated a certain way because they're Nigerian. So we've heard these stories. So it's not just America coming to Africa or Tanzania. It's just if you come from a different country, a lot of times there can be some misconceptions about the person. From what we heard from the Nigerians, that this person went to Kenya and they were treated like a criminal because they were from Nigeria. You know, so it's just some little things like that. So we know that we are emerging into a new era right now where the diaspora, they're beginning to return back to Africa. So we're starting to cohabitate now. And so what can we do as diasporan and Tanzanians, or just Africans? What can we do to make this transition easier, you know, for us, so we don't have all the clashing, so we don't have the people saying, oh, this happened, you know, Tanzania did this to me, and for Tanzanians not to view the ones that do diasporans as rich or want to take advantage of you, or, you know, just all sorts of things. What can we do to try and change that narrative?
So, like, if you go to any, like, if I go to a house, someone else's house, I have to behave because in a way that I'm not the owner of that house, I'm a guest. So the owner of the house, they have their own way of living. So maybe they want, like, you have to remove your shoes before getting in, but there are some other houses you can get with shoes inside. So because where you are, like where I live, we remove our shoes outside the house, and then I come to a house that we can get into that. What I will do, I have to first look at the owner of the house. What are they doing? Are they going to get with their shoes inside or not? Because maybe the way we live is the same way the owner of the house are living. They have to remove the shoes outside. So when you try to bring what you know from your house to another person's house, just before even looking at what they do, you might clash, because everyone, they have their own rules of living. So for the diasporas, they come here, they have their own views on how people live in where they are from. And here in Tanzania, we have our own rules in how we live. So for you, because you are the guest now, when you come to Tanzania, you're a guest and we are the host. So you're supposed maybe to try and learn their way of living. How do they learn? How do they associate with each other? Do they hug? Do they handshake? Or they just greet each other without any handshake and hugging? Yeah. Do they, when you first meet someone, do you smile or do you just stay with a blank space? Yeah. Are you approachable or not? So the first thing, because you're trying to learn, you have first to learn how we live, how we associate with each other, and then you can say, okay, so in our place, this is how we do things, and you guys, this is how we do things. So maybe I will be able to live like you guys. Or you can just tell them, okay, maybe I won't be able to live like you guys. So what can we do for us to understand each other? So at the first moment, you're supposed to be like lower than the person that you have met. Yeah, with doing that, it will help you go a long way with the people in Tanzania, because with Tanzanians, they are so welcoming. Even Kenyans, they are so welcoming. But how someone welcomes you, it's how you approach them. So if you approach them that you belong here and you don't belong here, it becomes a problem, because even though you say you are coming back, but you have been born elsewhere. So here it's not even like, I can say it's not even your home, but it's still your home because your ancestors are from here. So even me, when I go to Kenya, even though it is in East Africa, but I won't say, I'm from East Africa, so even here in Kenya, I belong here. No, I have to learn how they approach one another, and then I live by the way they live. So when a Tanzanian goes to Kenya and they live the way the Kenyans live, you might find that Tanzanians, we are humble and we are like, we don't talk very loudly or maybe very harshly. And then you go to Kenya, some of the tribe, because it's how for the like tribe languages, some they talk very harshly because of their languages, the tribe languages. So what you can do is you try to live like them. So if when they talk, they amp their voices, then you can try to amp your voice. Or you might just try to speak the way you speak so that they don't find that you're arguing, maybe. Or maybe if they see that, okay, I'm shouting and she's not shouting, maybe they will come to the same level.
Okay.
Yeah. So the best thing to do is just to learn how we live.
Okay.
And then you can integrate how our different lives come together.
Okay. And I agree with that, because we've learned that definitely helps a lot. But what would you say for the diaspora, the ones that we have run into, the Tanzanians who say like they don't want us here, and like how can we make it to where we're not viewed a certain way? And I get it, like coming into a house and learning the rules of the house, that's very important. But when you learn the rules of the house, but some people still get treated differently, is there anything that you think we can do that can stop, like, the people at the market that don't know us when we first open our mouths, stop them from thinking that we are rich and they're going to overcharge us? Is there anything that we can do? Is there anything that we can do to where, like, for us, there is one thing. So for African Americans, if you tell us you're going to do something, we expect you to do it. But what we have noticed here in Tanzania is that if they may say yes, they're going to do it, and then they won't do it, and there's no phone call, there's just nothing. And so when it comes down to certain ones we have met, and it's like, well, why didn't you just call me? Why didn't you just say? You know, those are some differences also with like the diaspora. We want honesty. You know, if you can't do something, it's cool to say I can't do it. You know, you don't make me a promise because you want to do it. You may want to do something, but you don't have the ability to do it. So for us, it's just tell me I can't do it. Don't tell me something I'm expecting it and then you let me down. You know, so it's things like that. I think on the other end of the stick, that even though we can come into this house and we can learn the rules, but I think on the other end, after we have learned the rules, it's also like a give and take relationship that we have to have. It's for the native born Africans, because I can't just say Tanzanians, learn, okay, this is something that is a cultural norm for them, or this is something that is offensive to them. So it's learning each other. I think that is the key factor. I think a lot of the run-ins that we've been having or we've been hearing with the diaspora and the Tanzanians is just because we are not taking the time to learn each other. Like you said, for us coming into the house, learn the ways the country is run. Learn, even if you've heard the stories of immigration. So, and we have given you guys advice about what to do when you go there. So learn the country. But then on the other end, for the Tanzanians here and the Africans in the other countries, I think they have to learn the diaspora. The diaspora, we are not money bags. We are not rich. Don't all live like Jay-Z and Beyonce, y'all. You know, we would love to, but we just don't. You know? So learn us and learn the things that we like and we don't like either. Not to say that we have to impose our beliefs and how we live on whatever country we come to in Africa, but just be willing to learn the things that we like and we dislike as well. So that's just my take on just us coming here and living. So that's something for me I've just noticed on both ends, the locals and the diaspora. I don't think we're taking the necessary steps to really get to know each other. And like for the diaspora, we want to feel accepted. One of the things that we have dealt with our entire life, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, is not being accepted. Anywhere we go, we're not accepted. Anywhere we go, people are laughing at us. People are talking behind our back, making jokes about us. And so when we come back home to Africa, we don't expect that, you know? we don't expect for people to make jokes, about us because we don't know the language. We want to feel like we're coming home.
So maybe you can do is maybe try to learn the language a little bit, because it's not just them. You for guys who don't understand Swahili, I might go to a place that they don't speak Swahili. They speak their own mother tongue, and they will talk about me because I don't understand what they are saying. Yeah, we do that even with for ourselves. Like they will talk someone who is speaking another mother tongue, and maybe someone who is speaking Arab or like Igbo. So they will speak in their own language because first they are trying to know you, but they don't know how to approach you. So maybe by doing that, it's like maybe you get their attention that, oh, they're talking about me, and maybe you might wave, and then they will come to you and, are you new here? They will ask you. Yeah. So they want to know you, but they don't know how to know you. So what they do, they will start talking among themselves, and then you might find that maybe they are talking badly, but sometimes no. Sometimes they might be like, look at her earrings. We don't even wear them, but look at her. She looks very good with those earrings. But so when they're talking, and then maybe they will laugh, and so because you don't understand what they're saying, you might feel that maybe they're talking badly about me. And sometimes that's not even the case.
So I want to shed some light on that. So it's not just that we're being targeted. It's literally everywhere. And see, this is something with our people, y'all. It's in the States. It happens here. We have to learn how to treat each other properly. Just in general, we have to learn how to treat each other. Just because we were taken from Africa to the Americas, to Europe, all these other places, African blood is strong. And so the same stuff we did here in Africa, it still goes on here. The same stuff that goes on in America. So it's not that we're being singled out or targeted. This is just the things that our people do. And it's just something that we have to learn not to do. We have to learn to treat each other fairly. We have to learn how to deal with each other. It's not for us to run away from. We're coming back. This is our home, y'all. And so for us to come back here, we have to learn how to deal with each other. We can't go off and just be off by ourselves and we have our own little tribe and everything. No, we have to learn how to live amongst each other. And unfortunately, just like when you get married, in a marriage, what happens? When you first get married, you got that butting of the heads that happens because you're learning how to live with each other. I've been married 19 years this year. It happens. And so when we're coming from different cultures, different tribes, you have different ways that you culturally live. We have different beliefs and everything. So when you come to live together, you can expect that there's going to be some confusion, sometimes some confrontations, but it's nothing that can't be worked out. Just like in a marriage, the longer you stick it out, the easier your marriage is going to be. And so speaking of marriage, I just want to throw this in really quickly. So what's the culture here pertaining to marriage?
So with the marriages here in Africa, you usually give out the dowry to the family. Like if you are a man, you're going to approach a young lady and you want to marry that person, you have to give her her dowry. And like for the Muslims, the dowry, it is for the woman, the one who is going to get married. But the man can also give, like for the family members, maybe can give to the dad, but it's not a must because the dowry it is specifically for the woman. But if you bring in the culture, so the different cultures in Tanzania, they expect that you will give the dowry for the woman, you will give the gift for the dad, the mom, and sometimes they will even like what they want. Maybe they will say we want 100 cows. That is not even included for the women, just for the family. Yeah, so sometimes they will want the gift for the family and the gift for the lady that you want to get married to. have like here in Tanzania we have the Indians. Yeah, so even then they have their own culture in how they accept the dowries. So what I hear is that the Indians, it's the lady who gives the dowry to the man. Yeah. So but maybe now it has changed. Maybe because they also take other cultures, like because in Tanzania maybe they might give the dowry and maybe it will be the woman who will take the dowry. So it will depend on what culture, on which part of the country that you are going to get married, and which tribe, which religion. So if you go to the Indians, they will have their own culture on how to accept the dowries. The Muslims, they have their own way of accepting the dowries. For the Muslims, I can say you bring, like, if you want to get married, what they do is, so the man will choose like a man who knows the lady's family, and then they will write a letter like introducing themselves, so and so, I want to marry so and so, and then they will attach maybe their picture, so that they will be, so that, because we are told you have to know who you are getting married. If it's the lady, you have to know, is the man handsome enough for you? Yeah, sometimes you will not see, the man might have all the qualities that you want, but when you look at that person, you don't feel like, I'm not attracted to that. So they usually attach the pictures, and sometimes also the lady, like if she accepts the proposal, she will write back, the family, they will write back, and then they will attach the pictures so that the men's family will see how that lady looks like. Yeah, so in that letter, when you are taking that letter to the lady's family, you put in some cash, like a gift, showing that I am capable of taking care of your child, of your girl. So if you just take the letter just without anything inside, sometimes they will refuse it. Oh, yes. Sometimes they will refuse the proposal. So the best way is to know that when I go and propose to the family, I have to put something like that letter should have something associated with it, and then maybe food, drinks, and money, or maybe clothes, to show that you are capable man. Yeah. So that's what we do. And after so there is other celebrations. So there will be a nikah. Nikah is like the marriage ceremony. So the man comes to the lady's family, so that there will be an officiate, a sheikh will be there to officiate the marriage. Sometimes it can be done in the mosque, and for the Christians it can be done in the churches, and for other religions here in Tanzania, they have their own way of officiating the marriage. Yeah, so sometimes for the Muslims, the lady might be at home, and then the man and the sheikh who's officiating the marriage will be at the masjid, the place where we pray. And then after they have agreed, have you agreed to marry so and so with the dowry that you have agreed upon? You say yes, and then you come back home. The lady also at home is being asked, are you agreeing? Because in Muslims, the lady has to say yes. If she says no, then it is no. Yeah, it has to be like, she said, even if all that time she was like, yes, I want to marry that person, and on the day of the marriage, of officiating, and so the man is at the masjid, he has said yes, I agree, and then the lady at home, she's been asked, and then she says no. And all along she was agreeing, but that day she said no, and there will be no marriage.
Okay. So, that process you told me, for the most part, that's what I've heard. Not just with the Muslims, but like I know some people who are Christian, and I've heard about that process of you have to send a relative or someone first and dowry. So guys, if you plan on marrying a Tanzanian, and apparently this is not just in Tanzania, but it's pretty much African culture, that you have to give a dowry. So just FYI for you guys, is there anything for the ladies? Is it acceptable for a Tanzanian man to marry like a diaspora woman?
Yeah, they marry each other, like the diasporas, they marry the African ladies, and sometimes the men here in Africa, they marry the diasporas ladies. So they usually get married. mother. And for that scenario, for the man and the woman, so if the woman is the diaspora, and I don't know how that goes, is the man going to give the dowry to the diaspora? I'm not sure on that, but I know for if it's a diaspora marrying a Tanzanian, that dowry has to be.
So, like in America, we don't do dowries. Normally, it's just the guests that come to the wedding. They want the guests to bring gifts. But there's no dowry. We pay for our own weddings, and yeah.
So with the dowry, that money is for the lady. It won't even, like, for the celebration, the man will have to cater for that. You should have, it's that dowry, it's specifically for the woman. It's her gift, so it won't even be counted for the celebration. If it's the wedding gown, she should not even remove that money from her dowry for her to buy herself the wedding gown. No. So it's usually like they usually talk with each other. So how much can you afford for the celebration? You want a big celebration or just a smaller one? You want us to have like different attires for that day? So they usually talk among each other and then they agree. And also the dowry sometimes is not that big because it's the two of them who agrees. Because the lady will ask, the man will ask the lady for the hand on marriage, and then the lady will say yes, and then they will talk about the dowry, how much can you afford, because you might find someone here is rich, but maybe it's just the face, like they're just showing off that they're living in this kind of life, but maybe in real life they're not that rich. So because they are getting to know each other and then they're planning to live with each other, so they usually agree, like, I can only afford 100,000. Even though I have this many cars and everything, maybe they're not even mine. Yeah, so they usually agree. And sometimes there's some Muslim ladies, they usually ask, like, for the we have those the Quran, the must-haves. They just ask for that, and that's fine because it is what she wants. Yeah. So that's what.
Okay. So you guys heard. So that's just a little advice for any guys coming here, single guys or ladies coming over here. Ladies, apparently you can ask for a dowry, even if you're not from Tanzania. So just keep that in mind. But I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. I'm gonna give some advice to the diaspora, and then we're gonna cut that. So I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. What advice would you give to any diaspora coming to Tanzania or just any African country? What, I say 3 pieces of advice would you give them?
So, like our president, Mama Samia, she has done the royal tour so that she can show what our country is made up of and everything. And that is just the way she said it. It's a small part of what Tanzania is all about. So, for what I can say is that Tanzania is welcoming. So when you come here, don't feel like we are rude or anything. Just feel that you are welcomed here. And what you can do to make us also feel that whoever is coming into our country is someone who wants to see us together, living together, then what you can do is try to learn our language. Because once you learn someone's language, it becomes easier for you to form other kinds of relationships. Yeah, and you'll also be able to know more about Tanzania than what other the media is showing, or from an experience of someone else. Yeah. So the first advice is start learning the language and try to be cordial with the people here in Tanzania. Whatever kind of life you are living, when you get here, try to see how we live and try to be able to live like us, so that we can be able to accommodate each other better. And try to, for those who feel that the prices are too high, learn how to bargain. You should bargain for the prices, because everyone will give you the price depending on what they sell. how, depending on what their expenses are, so they're trying to cover their expenses, so the prices might fluctuate from today and tomorrow. And so you should learn to talk to them that if you can't afford it, don't go. Just say, I have this kind of money, that can I get it? Even if you have said it's 100, I want it for 50. So can I get it? They will be able to understand, because there is a buying price and selling price. So we also have that in here.
So what advice would you give to the Tanzanians that are receiving the diaspora? 3 pieces of advice.
Okay, we should try to understand one another, that they're coming here because they like our country. They have searched in all other countries here in Africa, and they decided to come to Tanzania. So we should be welcoming to them, and we should understand them that they want to live with us, to know about us. So let us be a bit open when we are associating with them, and we should be kind. We should be the kind of people that we always are, because we are like a community. So we should embrace them and try to teach them that this is how, like, if you feel like the diaspora are behaving rudely, try to talk to them and maybe try to mend whatever misconception they have for Tanzanians, and then maybe we'll be able to live for them.
Alright, y'all, so that's out of the mouth of a local here in Tanzania, and I hope you guys took a lot of the advice, a lot of the tips that we gave you in this video. If you are planning on transitioning to Tanzania or any African country, this advice will take you a long way and make your stay here a lot more enjoyable. But like I did say in the video, just remember, we're learning to live amongst each other, and sometimes you're going to have some disagreements, but that does not mean that we hate each other, that we don't like each other, or that we can't live with each other. It just takes time to get to know each other.
So what advice can you give us as a diaspora to the locals?
I would say for the locals, if you're watching this, understand first and foremost that the diaspora, we want you to be upfront with us, okay? That's one of the reasons why we're not accustomed to bargaining, because we're used to just tell me what the price is. But just understand that we like people to be very upfront with us. And I will also say, like Fatma already said, if we're saying that we want to live here and we want to be a part of the community, that we want to be welcome truly and made to feel like we are a part of the community, and just be willing to get to know our cultural differences as well, just how we maneuver. Be willing to learn how we move, not to necessarily say that you have to do that or be like us, because you're not us, we're different. But just be willing to learn how we are, so that we can understand each other better. So that's my advice for the locals here, and that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you, Fatma, for allowing us to interview you. It's been very insightful, and I just want to say really quickly, we're going to be doing more interviews with the locals here, and we want to get the diaspora in on these conversations along with the locals. We want to collaborate together to see how we can mend the relationships between the diaspora and the locals, and how we can work together to build our country, our land here in Africa, because we need each other. And so if you are a Tanzanian or an African who watches our channel, and you'd like to be on our panel, just hit us up, let us know. We'll leave our contact in the description. And if you're a diaspora and you want to actually be a part of these conversations to see how we can work together as one people, hit us up also, and we'd love to have you on so we can discuss how to make our relationships between each other better. So thank you guys, and we love you. Thank you all of our subscribers, our Patreons, and you guys have a blessed one. Shalom.